Alright, I think I'm live. If I'm not, I will be someday. Alright, here we are, and this is a sketch that we worked on Saturday night during our Zoom meeting. Put up a picture of a model on the screen, and those of us who were there sat around and drew from the model. Hi, Stellar. And uh, so that's what we did. Um, I made a couple changes to mine afterwards. Uh, One thing, she had short hair or it was tied up on the back. I gave her long hair. Then I decided her legs were too short. I'd drawn them too short. The model was taller. So I lengthened her legs. Then I decided I'd exaggerated that too much. I made her too tall, so I shortened her legs. Then I stood back and looked at it and realized I'd done this thing. Sometimes when the paper is tilted away from you, at least with me, I have a tendency to draw in forced perspective, almost like the opening scene of Star Wars when you're seeing the scroll, the words scrolling across the screen. So it's like the model gets bigger and bigger as she comes down, and so the head was nice and everything, and then it's like the body got thicker and her butt and her legs and everything were just like her knees were this big around, and so I was like, okay, you got to make the legs skinnier. It's not that I get a problem with big leg women, even though they've got no soul. But I mean, I don't know, but I've been told. Um, so I made her more proportional, and then it looked like her boobs were way too high. It was way up here, and I looked at the model again and realized, hi Scott. I realized, yeah, that's what the model looks like, but it looks wrong to me. So, ultimately, this drawing is not about being faithful to the model or being faithful to the photograph. It's about making a cool drawing that you like. And so I don't like it, so I'm going to change it. So I went ahead and changed that, and so that brings us all the way to here. Oh, and I also got rid of her right arm, which was just kind of a repeat of this shape, which I kind of don't like. I don't like having things. It's almost becomes mechanical. This arm and this arm are doing the same thing, or when the model's sitting in such a way that both legs are in exactly the same position. Um, there's something monotonous about that, and I dislike it. So I moved it around several different places and decided it's just going to go because I don't know what to do with it. And maybe we'll sort something out here. It's tricky because she was doing this. She had both arms bent backwards, and that does things to your shoulder. And when you say, no, I don't want that arm bent backwards, you've got to change that shoulder. And I did a little bit. But now it's like if I wanted to say, have her pointing, like pointing off this way or something, that would change that shoulder a lot. And I don't have a model doing that. And so I'm kind of lost, and I've been making things up and very probably doing it wrong. So I'm probably not going to do that. I'm going to put some clothes on her. That's what I'm going to do. And but don't worry, not much. I've got some sketches here. I've got a book of Frazetta art there. A couple other things to give me ideas. Some photocopies that I made a long time ago of ancient jewelry designs, things from archaeology books and stuff like that. So I've got a little folder of ideas for things like that. I never like to quite copy somebody else's stuff. or even historical stuff quite exactly. Um, you know, my audience is too smart. Basically, if I drew a Viking bracelet, that was straight out of some Viking ship burial, that there were pictures of in a magazine. Um, Post that online, and there's going to be dozens of people saying not only exactly what that is, but how what I did wrong, in terms of how I didn't draw it correctly. Um, my audience is too smart for that, so I'd rather just do something that's kind of influenced by that, but different. So that's what I'm doing. Not that there's a Viking ship burial thing in here, at least not on this page. Um, but I might. That is something I'm not disinclined to do. I posted a picture on one of my other groups this morning. And it was one of those times that I thought to myself, should I do this? I shouldn't do this. I should post something else. No, I'll do it. No, maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I'm asking for trouble. I don't know. I like this picture. I would argue with myself. And what I did wind up doing is I sent that picture and several others to the moderator of the site, and of one of the sites, and where I've had trouble before, where there's been uh, static about this sort of thing before, and I asked him if he thought they were going to be a problem, and he said, "No, I don't think so, because the people who were a problem are gone." And I said, "Oh," and so I can't. Who knows? Across the board, but because, like I say, I mean, I've joined about 30 groups, and of course, like a couple of them are sword and sorcery, and some of them are very strictly science fiction, and some are strictly steampunk, and some are strictly uh, atom punk. I don't post a whole lot to atom punk, but I do have the occasional picture that is appropriate to that. So I don't. When I finish this, I'm not going to post it to every single group that I'm in, but I will post it to some if it seems close enough um, to fit. And so, where was I going with that? So yeah, but you got a group called Pulp Sword and Sorcery, and then there's a person in there that doesn't want to see any of that, you know, pulp looking stuff, because it's too objectifying of women or something. Like, like, why are you here? Are you just here to get mad? It's like, what is your purpose in being here? I mean, it's not like I don't comprehend your argument. Um, it's just I don't comprehend why I'm hearing that argument in this room. And so anyway, the picture I posted was a Neanderthal looking dude, uh, silly looking Neanderthal dude, uh, absconding with a woman under his arm, and so her butt sticking up in the air. And I went all day without any uh, without getting hit with any righteousness, So I thought, wow, I've I've, uh, I've escaped, and just a minute before I came on here, I saw I had a notification. I clicked on it. Some guy was taking umbrage to my sexism because, well, because the the woman didn't look like a Neanderthal. Why didn't the woman look like a Neanderthal? Suppose if I had to answer that with a serious answer, all I did say was it's best not to overthink these things. But if I did have to answer it seriously, uh, I'd say because I don't think there's a conflict, in our probably inaccurate mental picture of life as a Neanderthal. Um, the Neanderthal dude running off with a Neanderthal woman under his arm is probably, the normal thing you see in normal Neanderthal society. So this isn't a picture of conflict. This is a domestic scene. I don't draw domestic scenes. Okay, uh, so I guess that would be my answer. But you reach a point in your life where you just don't feel like having the conversation. You just don't want to. I never want any part of this outfit. Well, unless I, I suppose I might one day decide I do want to draw a Viking specifically. Um, so I might go ahead and dig out some books and try to very accurately depict something like that. But I don't want to do anything that looks very Viking or very Celtic or very Egyptian or very Greek. Um, I want it to just look ancient world in a sort of general fashion. And if something says, "Oh, that's," I'd rather be interesting, like have a thing that seems almost like a blending of Arthurian Knights of the Round Table with suits of armor made by Egyptians or something like that. If you can, I try to think of things like that um, when I'm designing stuff, so that it just looks different. It just looks completely different. And now for something completely different. By the time I was done messing around with this sketch, I no longer felt like I'd even done a good job in the first place. And yeah, there's something that's almost a it's almost liberating about that attitude is to think, well, I can't possibly screw it up because it's I already essentially consider it to be kind of ruined. So it's only going to get better. All right, Scott says I'm right there with you with the creative, uh, the Arthurian armor and made by Egyptians or whatever. You want it different yet recognizable, exactly. You don't want it so different that people are looking at it going, I don't know, what is this guy got on his head? Is it a cat or a rock or whatever? You want people to look at it and go, oh yeah, he's wearing some kind of helmet, um, but not looking too specific, too influenced by something straight out of the books. And you also don't want to go straight off of some other artist's artwork or uh, movie, something like that. I used to want to be an illustrator, and I was always showing portfolios to companies, and that didn't work. But then I'd go to the bookstore and I'd pick up a book, and it's some fantasy book, and there's a painting on the cover of somebody wearing the helmet that Thulsa Doom was wearing in the Conan the Barbarian movie. I mean, right down to the final, tiniest details. And you're just like, what? What the hell? It wasn't a Conan book. It wasn't, uh, it's like, I'm not getting hired, but this asshole's getting hired. I hope this asshole wasn't watching that video right now. I'm sorry. But, it's just like, come on, take the, it doesn't take that much creativity to draw something just a little different, you know? Even if you're influenced by that movie, even if you really like that helmet, you want to just kind of riff off of that. Sure, riff off of that. Absolutely. But don't just draw the whole thing completely like it was in the film. Oh, that irritated me. It irritated me because I wasn't getting hired. I mean, in hindsight, I realized there were much better reasons than that I wasn't getting hired. You know, I didn't draw that well. I thought I did at the time, but I didn't paint that well. But it turned out I was damn good at signs, and so that was my salvation. I went out and painted signs. It was good. It's a good thing. So there, I've taken it that far, and yeah, I still don't much like the look of it. I don't. Um, I don't know why. There's something that just clunks. Um, some things flow and some things clunk, and this one's clunking for me. Um, it didn't flow better. I thought it would flow better when I got the clothing on, the cloth kind of sweeping and swooping, and it isn't. It isn't. And I think I may have a solution. I think I have a solution to my problem. And that is, yeah, I'll just give her a full length skirt. Even more. I was trying to save that little anklet because it was cool looking, but no, no, full deal. The whole enchilada. The thing is, something's either working for you or it's just not. And if it's not, then make it work for you. I can kind of do this all day too. Little little designs. This is a little convoluted, but long, long, long ago, when I was a teenager, I started clipping things out of magazines, old National Geographics, and we could get National Geographics that were 100 years old. You could buy them for a dime, you know, and they were everywhere, so there was nothing special about them. I don't know if there is something special about those now, but I mean, I'd take them home and cut them up with scissors and paste save the photos that I wanted and paste them into a clip file. We have computers for that now, but we didn't then. And so and I would save like a little thing from a little illuminated manuscript. And hey, Sissy says she lost track of time. Don't let it happen again. All right, I'll do the whole thing over. I'm going to erase this skirt, take her back to naked. I'm not gonna. You're just gonna have to watch the replay. Sorry. And I was blathering. About something. About back before the internets, we used to cut up magazines to have reference photos for things. And I still have some of them. Not much. Eventually, I realized, I had better, in some cases, better copies of the same photographs were on my computer files, so I dumped all the clippings. But I would take a National Geographic or something and I'd cut it up, and there'd be a picture of a medieval manuscript, and in the medieval manuscript there'd be a woman wearing a dress, and the dress would have little designs on it. Okay, and I would sit and copy those. If I didn't, like, if it was from a library book or something where I couldn't cut it up, I would sit and copy things like that, into a sketchbook. So I had sketchbooks full of little weird designs that were taken from books, little medieval manuscripts, stained glass windows and stuff like that. And Evan's here. As far as I know, I've been here the whole time. Aha. Okay. Sissy says, I used to cut up magazines too back in my teenage days. The X-Files was my big thing. All pictures and articles got cut out and saved. Yeah, so you saved like X-Files magazines, or were there were probably sci-fi magazines. Stellar used to get Starlog magazines. I wasn't permitted to cut those up. So I would cut those up, or I would copy things, and a lot of my time went into doing stuff like that. And then there was an illustrator from way back in turn of the previous century, named Audrey Beardsley. And he really was an amazing guy. He was a scholar. He knew a number of languages. He knew a whole bunch about archaeology and religious history, Christian art, and everything. He worked for a church for a while just because he had access to their medieval books. So he did other clerical work for them or whatever just to earn himself some time to sit with these books and copy from the little manuscripts and everything, just like I was doing with the library books and stuff. And so one day I was looking at an Audrey Beardsley book, and there's a picture of a girl wearing a dress, and there's this little design on the dress, and I was like, oh, that's a cool design. And I started drawing that, and it was kind of like, oh, I've done this before. And then I looked around at something and realized, this was the same. He had copied the same photograph, probably from the same National Geographic that I had copied from, with the same little dress and the same design on the thing. And I was kind of like, oh, I don't know. It kind of made me feel connected, and it also kind of made me feel less impressed. I don't know. I don't know. It was kind of a weird realization to have just somebody that you've been in awe of. It's just like, oh, this guy's just amazing, and he was. But he realized he was doing the same things I was doing, and of course, he was also a full-time illustrator, and way before I was born, and you can't mess around with inventing stuff. When you're just cranking out pictures, it's better to just be able to find a reference photo and copy things. So he was copying things just like I was copying things. But it did kind of make me stop drawing that little design and go, well, I can't use this. It's already been repeated, which is, I don't know. I guess that's nonsense, but that's what I did at the time. I was a teenager. A lot of what I did was nonsense. Audrey Beardsley, though, he a very impressive person, very, very knowledgeable, did all kinds of crazy stuff. Um, and eventually, uh, the church, essentially fired him, and he was quite resentful. And he had been very, very deeply religious up until that point, and he kind of, either because of that or God knows why. I mean, people have different reasons, but um, he turned away from religion and became, I don't know if he was necessarily a member of the decadent movement in the 1800s, long about then. Uh, may have my timeline wrong. Late 1800s, early 1900s. And but anyhow, he ran with the crazy crowd, the parties and orgies and drugs, and he did all these books of erotic art, really crazy erotic, little 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 dwarfish men with gigantic penises that needed a cart to roll them around in, and they were all from the Baroque era, so people were wearing wigs that went up 10 feet in the air, and it's wild stuff. But then he did all that and died like in his late 20s. And he got very, very sick and ran out of money. All his money went into his medical bills, and he was living with his sister, and he turned religious again because he knew he was dying, and he had to keep himself afloat. He had been selling all of his artwork to his friends, and then he started begging his friends to gather up all that dirty art and burn it, and so they said sure, and they didn't, and so yeah, I just said that because I drew a thing on this girl's dress, and that just brought all that crap to my head. So so there it is. That's the girl we drew Saturday night on Zoom in every detail. Um, and what else? She needs something. I mean, she's somewhere. She must be somewhere. And I don't know. Perhaps we'll revisit this again. And yeah, that's about it. I don't have much to. Don't have much. So I will see you all again tomorrow. Evan, thanks for being here the whole time. And Sissy, thanks for losing track of time. And Scott, thanks for being here. And what was that TV show with somebody was like, I see Billy and I see Susie and I see you tomorrow. Bye bye.